Imagine a place where the ground itself breathes smoke, where the streets crack like open wounds, and the subsoil has burned, unstoppable, for over half a century. This is not a fictional tale, but the true story of Centralia. This is not the usual story of an abandoned city. No, this is the story of a city devoured by a mistake, transformed into an earthy purgatory where fire has replaced the heart. What you will see and hear today is the tale of how a quiet Pennsylvania town became a hell beneath our feet, a ghostly reminder of how relentless nature can be, and how it inspired one of the most terrifying worlds in fiction, Silent Hill. I still remember when Centralia was Centralia. Not a legend, not a warning, but a living community. It was a place like many others, with its modest homes, its schools, its churches, its shops. Ordinary people living ordinary lives tied to the coal that flowed through the veins of those mountains. Miners descended into darkness every day, extracting the fuel that powered homes and industries, unaware that one day that same coal would betray their trust, rebelling and turning their home into an endless furnace. Then, on an ordinary day in May 1962, came negligence. A pile of garbage set on fire in an open air landfill above an old abandoned coal mine. It seemed like nothing, a minor incident. Who would have thought that that little flame would find a way, a crack, a passage into the dark labyrinth of the mines below? No one, but it happened. The fire crept in, finding veins of dry charcoal and enough oxygen to take on a life of its own. What was supposed to be a simple cleanup operation turned into a slow death sentence for the entire city. At first, no one really noticed. The smoke was light, almost imperceptible, but as the months, then years passed, the evidence became undeniable. The ground was heating up, the roads were beginning to collapse, cracks were opening up, and thick acidic vapor was pouring out. It was carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, invisible but lethal gases, hissing from underground like demonic whispers. People began to smell a strange, burning, sulphurous odor, a smell that has never left Centralia since. Gardens withered, trees died, and even grass struggled to grow in the hot, poisoned soil. We were witnessing a silent but devastating agony. It wasn't a visible fire, flames dancing in the sky. This was an invisible enemy, crawling beneath the foundations of our homes, eating away at the earth from the bottom up. I remember when a child one summer day fell into one of those cracks that had suddenly opened in his yard. He was miraculously saved, pulled out of a hole that was billowing out toxic gases and unbearable heat. That episode was the wake up call, the most dramatic wake up call we could imagine. It made us understand that the fire was no longer just down there, but had come to claim our world, to insinuate itself into our daily lives. The cracks grew larger, more numerous. The streets twisted and heaved as if the earth itself were convulsing. The asphalt crumbled, revealing a smoking abyss. The houses, once solid and secure, began to show signs of collapse. Some were filled with smoke, others threatened by the heat that made their basements unlivable. Vegetation along the roadsides was dying, its roots scorched by the underground heat. It was a blood curdling sight, seeing the earth give way, smoking, warning you that you are no longer welcome. The authorities tried to intervene. Years of attempts, plans, and millions of dollars were spent to put out the fire. They pumped tons of water, cement, and sand into the mines. They built mud barriers. But the fire was too deep, too widespread. It is estimated that it extends for kilometers beneath the surface, a hellish labyrinth feeding on veins of coal that could last another 250 years. The fire was unstoppable, indomitable. Every attempt to stop it proved futile, almost ridiculous in the face of its silent, stubborn power. The choice became inevitable. Abandoned Centralia, residents were encouraged to leave their homes. It was a painful exodus, an entire community uprooted, forced to turn its back on a place that was slowly becoming an open air cemetery. The houses were expropriated, many were demolished, but not all. Some remained there, ghosts of a past that refused to die, with empty windows looking out onto the desolation. Today, only a few diehards remain, a handful of people clinging to their right to live in a place that is now a name on the map, but not a city. When you walk those streets today, the air is heavy, sometimes pungent. Smoke rises from cracks in the ground like the snorting of a sleeping dragon. The yellow lines on the asphalt, once precise, now twist and turn. The road signs are faded, almost unrecognizable. It's a post apocalyptic landscape, a place where nature has reclaimed its rights, but not peacefully, but with an underground fury that burns incessantly. It's no wonder that such a surreal place, so charged with tragedy and mystery, has inspired fantasy. The cracked streets, the smoke enveloping everything, the sense of isolation and constant threat have shaped the imagery of an entire genre. When you see images of Centralia with smoke trailing along the ground and lonely buildings, you can't help but think of Silent Hill. The eternal fog, the distorted streets, the sense of anguish that pervades the video game and cinematic city. find their deep roots in the spectral reality of Centralia. It's the embodiment of a nightmare, a place where the line between the real world and the horror world becomes blurred, almost non existent. The creators of Silent Hill found in this ghost town the perfect canvas to paint their world of psychological terror, a place where the threat isn't always visible but always present, always looming. Centralia is more than a ghost town, it's a warning. It's proof that nature, if provoked, can become a relentless enemy. It's a living memorial to human error, a fire that continues to burn, reminding us of the fragility of our existence and the unstoppable power of the underworld. The fire continues to slowly, relentlessly devour the city, its memories, its history. Centralia is a place of death, a place of legend, a place that once seen or even just imagined is never forgotten. If one day you find yourself wandering its silent streets, listen carefully. You might hear the crackling, the warm breath of the earth, the beating heart of the fire that still burns. It's the sound of an inferno beneath our feet, an inferno that continues to tell its story. If stories of such mysterious places fascinate you, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next dive into the heart of the inexplicable.